Hi everyone, I'm Nicholas Waters, CEO of IRLAB Therapeutics, company focusing on novel treatments for Parkinson's disease and beyond actually. Have to show you the disclaimer. Our mission is to improve the lives of people with Parkinson's disease as a primary goal. We do that through developing first-in-class drug candidates and other disorders of the brain. Currently, we have two phase 2b assets. One is out-licensed to Ipsen. We have two preclinical programs which are in preclinical development at this time, and we are working on a discovery program where we hope to be able to deliver a new candidate during this year. We have a quite dense news flow in the coming years. Up until 24, we have several data readouts to look forward to. We are using our highly efficient discovery platform, which allows us to actually have a quite fast discovery process with a higher probability of phase transition that is going from the different phases in development than the industry standard has been as industry standard has been published. Currently, we have a very strong cash position, and that has been a work we've been engaged in for a number of years now, building up our cash position to be able to pursue our ambitions, and that is investing in the growing pipeline, and it's widening and it's also maturing over time, and that needs cash. Currently, we're 30 employees in the research organizations, around 26 of those. The company is listed on Stockholm, Nasdaq Stockholm, and we've been listed since 2017. We have our laboratories and offices headquartered in Gothenburg, and we have also locations in Stockholm where the clinical development team is working. IRLAB's business model is quite common in the Scandinavian biotech. The current business model is based on licensing and partnerships. We discover new molecules using our proprietary discovery platform, ISP. We bring them forward in development, generate efficacy, tolerability, and safety data sufficient to claim proof of concept. And then we partner the programs for further development through late stages, that's phase 3, and also marketing. We base these licenses on upfront payments, milestones, and royalties, of course. So quite traditional in that sense. However, there is a secondary business model opportunity for IRLAB, and that is the ISP platform, which has quite high potential as a licensing potential. With the right partner, we believe we could add value to any documented CNS pipeline across the globe. A look at Parkinson's disease, which is our primary focus in developing new treatments. This is a complex neurodegenerative disorder where symptomatology changes over the course of 20 to 30 years for the patients. And the first signs when you get the diagnosis are the bradykinesia, rigidity, and tremor that are the hallmark symptoms of Parkinson's disease. These are dependent on a loss of dopamine systems, so dopamine input into certain brain areas in the human brain. Here we have developed a new program, P003, Project 3, where we are looking at new treatment strategies to compete with the current mainstay treatment in Parkinson, which is levodopa. And levodopa was discovered in the late 50s, early 60s. It's a fantastic medicine. It helps millions of people around the globe. However, there are complications that occur during the course of development of the disease, such as dyskinesia and psychosis, together with motor fluctuations. For those complications, we have developed mesdopetam. This is a dopamine D3 receptor antagonist, which will allow optimal treatment of levodopa. for a longer time period without getting the complications of dyskinesia and psychosis. This program is partnered with Ipsen in a $363 million deal we did last year, and that is excluding the royalties as well, which are double-digit. Later on in the developmental disorder, patients start to experience cognitive decline, cognitive impairment. There is apathy, confusion, and to some extent depression, but also dementia, which is a clear sign in Parkinson, in late-stage Parkinson disease. Here we have developed recently 2 new candidate drugs, 942 and 757, which we are now pursuing in preclinical development towards both cognitive decline and apathy. And in the later stages, one of the biggest problems in Parkinson disease is the balance problems that occur, which leads to falls, which leads to hospitalization and quite substantial costs for both the patient and society. And here we are now working on Pirepemat, which is a drug which improves balance. In phase 2A studies, we have recently shown that we can improve balance and reduce falls. And we are now have now embarked on a phase 2B, large international phase 2B study. So we are building our strength on R&D. That's our hallmark in IRLAB. A few words on the discovery platform, which is quite different from what you usually see in biotech. This is an advanced systems biology strategy. We have the potential here to discover things that would otherwise go undiscovered by other technologies. We generate a large or a vast amount of data in this system, and we use machine learning and artificial intelligence strategies to analyze the data and come to conclusions on which molecules to synthesize, test, and further develop. This technology has by now proven advantages. First of all, we have the ability to discover first-in-class compounds. A follow-on effect of this discovery strategy is that the IPR we generate, or the patents that we file, they have a very good survivability. There has been no challenges to our IPR portfolio over the past 10, 15 years. We also see the possibility here to predict which indications drugs are capable of treating. And that's very important. We have improved the predictability of use of any new chemical entity that we generate. And we also see an improvement in the probability of success in development. And this slide illustrates the improvements that we see based on our own in-house data on candidate drugs and their fate in the development during development. So we have a larger likelihood of reaching phase 3 with molecules based on ISP than in the traditionally used target-based strategies in industry. Perhaps 3 times higher, 2 to 3 times higher likelihood of reaching phase 3, which is a huge difference in terms of likelihoods. Our partnering strategy on our pipeline, which is shown on this slide number 9, we have partnered mesdopetam, our most mature product, with Ipsen. We did that last summer in a large international deal where we licensed the global rights for Ipsen's global and exclusive right to Ipsen to develop and market mesdopetam. Then for Pirepemat, our strategy is to create phase 2B data and enter into a collaboration after that. And for the early stage programs, we are actually open for licensing already in the preclinical stage, both 942 and 757. The P003 program, when we have selected a CD, we will start such discussions. Looking a little bit at the news flow generated by this quite broad pipeline, we do see phase 2 data, phase 2b data from mesdopetam during this year. We also have a number of important milestones based on the Ipsen deal that is moving the asset into phase 3 studies, but also expanding the indication areas around mesdopetam to, for instance, Parkinson's disease psychosis. For Pirepemat, we expect data late in 23. So round about a year after mesdopetam, we have a readout on Pirepemat phase 2b data. And of course, in 24, we expect to start phase 3 studies with Pirepemat. And for the early phase programs, we expect to reach phase 1 studies during 23 with 2, perhaps even 3 assets next year. So mesdopetam, a few words on this very interesting new treatment strategy in Parkinson's disease. This is a project or a program in our pipeline which is fully financed by now through phase 3 to market, and that is globally. We aim to improve motor function for these patients, for patients living with Parkinson's disease, through prevention and reduction of dyskinesias. And dyskinesias are involuntary movements. We also see an opportunity in psychosis, both treatment and prevention there as well, but also there are expansion possibilities into disorders such as tardive dyskinesia, which are also dependent on the same target as dyskinesias in Parkinson's disease, the dopamine D3 receptor. Looking a little bit at the market, about 30% of all Parkinson patients experience or develop levodopa-induced dyskinesias. And these dyskinesias, they overshadow the beneficial effects of levodopa, the base treatment, which complicates life enormously. And mesdopetam has the ability to reduce dyskinesia without compromising the effect of levodopa and increase what is called good on, that is the good motor, the time spent during a day with good motor function. It does so by targeting dopamine D3 receptors in certain brain areas. Currently, we have a large clinical trial ongoing in the US and Europe. We are enrolling patients as we speak into this trial, and we expect readout top-line data during the fall of this year. Preparations are also ongoing for phase 3 studies across the globe as well. As I said, this is a molecule with a broad application within neurology. PD-LIDs is, of course, the main target, PDP, secondary indication, which from a population perspective is actually a larger indication than LIDs. And then if we look at expanding outside of PD, tardive dyskinesia, which is a side effect of antipsychotic treatment, is also a potential target for mesdopetam. With Pirepemat, we want to improve balance and reduce falls and fall injuries for people living with Parkinson's disease. This is the largest unmet need today in the Parkinson space. There are no treatments approved. Today, different types of physical supportive systems are available, such as rollators and sticks, and physical therapy, but there are no pharmacological treatments for this problem. And in impaired balance and a follow-on to that, fear of falling, are impaired the lives of Parkinson patients across the globe on a daily basis. And Pirepemat is a molecule we designed to improve balance and reduce falls through understanding of what mechanisms are underlying these problems. And just looking at the cost for such a fall, one fall that ends up in a hospital in the US is estimated to cost around $30,000. So if you can reduce the number of falls, there is a big saving to do in the health systems. This is also a new market, untapped market, which we are building. The ongoing study is a 3-armed study, 1 placebo group and 2 different doses of Pirepemat. This is a 3-month study. We include patients, male or female, in the ages from 55 and upwards, who have fallen at least twice in the last month before entering into the trial. This is a study where we believe recruitment will take around 18 months. The study was started early this year in Q1, and we expect to see data, as I said, end of 23. Approvals have been given across Europe for this trial. France, Germany, Poland, Spain, and Sweden are the initial countries participating, and we're looking to expanding that to further countries in Europe. Look at the preclinical development activities. We have 3 programs. There are 2 programs and 3 assets in this area right now. 942 and 757, where 942 is designed to improve cognitive function and brain health. And this is also a very large opportunity, which of course goes into Parkinson's disease, but also goes beyond Parkinson's disease. About 12% of all adults aged 65 or more, they experience cognitive decline. And they depend, this cognitive decline depends on a disruption of frontal cortical neurocircuitries. And 942 can restore those functions. This molecule has both potential for symptomatic and disease modification, symptomatic relief and symptomatic disease modification. Currently, we are running the preclinical development, large-scale synthesis, and also the regulatory required toxicity and safety studies. We expect to initiate phase studies next year. Looking at IRL757, this is a molecule which targets apathy. And apathy is probably one of the most common symptoms in neurology, neurological disorders. Around between 20 and 90% of all patients with a neurological indication experience apathy. And this is something that affects not only the patient, but also the surrounding individuals, caregivers, spouses, family members, to a large extent. There are no treatments today for this indication. We see a huge opportunity here. And this is also dependent on frontal cortical, but frontal subcortical dysfunction. And 757 has the ability to strengthen these neuronal pathways, which lead to apathy. So we believe we have a big opportunity with this new strategy for the treatment of apathy. Similar to 942, we are currently running a CMC campaign, large-scale synthesis, and we are looking at regulatory studies, preclinical studies during this year and early next year to enter phase 1 studies in 2023. Last but not least, the P003 program is a program which we have been working on for a while now, where we are looking at finding a treatment which can actually be exchanged for levodopa. Levodopa has a number of beneficial effects on motor function for people living with Parkinson's disease, but also complications, as I've illustrated in this presentation. And here we think we have found a totally new method to treat the basic symptoms of Parkinson's disease without entering into the complicating factors or adding complicating factors. This is a dopamine D1, D2 agonist strategy, which is necessary to promote motor function in Parkinson's disease. And we expect at least equivalent efficacy, but less complications with this strategy. Currently, we are in lead optimization in the first generation, and we have a second generation molecules on the drawing board as we speak. And we recently did a small transaction where we acquired immaterial rights to support this program. So the strategy that we have developed over the years has been recognized in terms of the scientific validity of our work. It's been published in highly ranked publications over the past few years. Looking at our development activities, we see translation with a high success rate, bringing 2 assets from preclinical development through phase 2A studies already, with promising efficacy. That's rare in our industry. The innovation and novelty factor with our molecules is, of course, an important thing for success. And both of these main assets, the mesdopetam and Pirepemat, have been given new INN stem names by WHO, indicating that they represent totally new CNS classes, which is also quite uncommon in the industry. And our business model, which I talked about initially, is proven but through the global licensing deal with Ipsen concerning mesdopetam, which we did last year. So that concludes the presentation of IRLAB today. We have a strong portfolio and a growing portfolio of assets in the neurology space. We have a very fascinatingly efficient discovery platform which delivers new candidates in a steady stream. And the business strategy that we've employed have been very successful over the past few years. So we expect to see the delivery of the first-in-class treatments from our pipeline mid to end 20s. Thank you very much.